Okay, let's put on our thinking cap and have a look at some of the comments on Jesse Coyle getting a bit of heat. If you don't know who Jesse Coyle is, go check out his YouTube channel. I agree with a lot of things he's posting, and it is rare for channels like myself with over 200k subs, over 400 million views on YouTube, to give shout-outs to smaller channels. But it's something I've always done and always will do, and it's good. Pay it forward, But yeah, does anyone know any channels out there who plug other channels like I do? Generally, YouTube's all about people in for it themselves. Even some of the channels that I've helped become like 5-6 million sub count, they would not give me time of day today. It's pretty sad. But anyway, that's the world we live in. Let's get into these questions here from Jesse. So this is on the what I eat in a day after riding 90Ks, and Jesse's getting some good views. He's at 3K subs. He's getting over that. My channel has been shadow banned for my Instagram, etc. has been shadow banned recently for various reasons you can imagine regarding the narratives currently pushed out there, the coercion, etc. So I understand that that's part of the deal. I'd rather speak up than stay silent. And again, you can only speak up to a certain degree. But even the little bit I've spoken up has gotten me a nice shadow ban here on YouTube and Instagram. You try and tag me or on Instagram, go to my Instagram account. It's even hard to find it. You have to type in durianrider Pragma Bikes to the letter before you can even find it. So, and then try and tag me. It's not going to happen. That's just part of the deal. We live in new times today. New world. We live in a new world. Damn. Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. It's okay to give kids experimental medications, and if they have heart attacks or deaths and that, then just going to talk about it. Can't talk about that. Anyway, here we go. Here we have a question. Great video, Jesse. You've become one of my favorite channel. Also started using your sugar energy drink and feel so much stronger toward the end of longer rides. Didn't realize how much I was under consuming. Most people under consume massively, so I've been jumping on the thread, jumping around. I thought I'll do a video about it. Most people out there, I'm 44. I've trained thousands of people since 1996 on fitness and weight loss, getting noobs, total noobs, up to national level, FTPs, etc. All right. Total noob YouTubers up to like 5 million views, 5 million subscribers, 6 million subscribers on YouTube. So I know what it takes when it comes to fitness or social media, etc. And sugar, that's the foundation. That's your energy. If you don't have the energy, like how can you push the pedals harder? How can you do more content? How can you deal with haters or pressures or stress? If you don't have enough sugar, so your body will always let you know when you haven't had enough sugar by craving more. And it will stop the craving when you've had enough in that moment. That's why no one sits down with a bag of sugar and just eats sugar from the spoon. Nobody does that, like normally, unless they're doing some sort of challenge. Because it's just so self-limiting. You're like, sugar is good. I mean, when you add it to stuff, then it starts to be, okay, this is good. You add it to your fruit, add it to your rice, add it to your wheat bix, and it's like cornflakes, etc. Your water, your soy milk, etc. And that's good. What Western corporations do is add it to meat, they add it to fats, they add it to oil, they add it to dairy, cream, cheese. And then people have that sugar craving satisfied, but then they have this massive serve of fat with that. 10 grams, 20 grams, 100 grams, 200 grams of fat per meal. And if you're a sedentary person, when do you burn that fat off? You're sitting down behind a computer all day, you're eating fat every meal, more fat than you need, more fat than you're burning, and that fat's just sitting on your body. And then what people do is they blame the sugar. Oh, well, Harley, you exercise, you can eat sugar. I bet I'll sit down more than you in a week. I don't have kids. I work at home. I work for myself. I'll sit down. I sit down most of the day, I'm sitting on a fitball right now. I sit down so much, I can't even sit on a chair anymore because it just injures my posture so much. I have to use a fitball. That's how much I'll sit down. So these people eating all this fat and not burning it off, and they blame the sugar. And it's like, man, it's crazy, So you just really need that sugar. That's the fuel. And this person here, Andrew, is saying, I can't believe how much I was under consuming. Because these people out there, unfortunately, like we all do, we listen to social narratives before we start to become critical thinkers and go, you know what? Why am I even doing this? Why do I need disc brakes on my road bike? Like, am I riding through mud? Actually, disc brakes is more dangerous because when I lock up the rear wheel, which is easy to do with road disc, hydro disc, and a 25mm tyre, I'm sliding around the place. And when I'm going down a wet mountain at speed, and I got a grab some brake, I'm going to be sliding over the barrier with disc brakes. Because with rim, at least there's a bit of a delay and lag. With disc brakes, it's on, off, on, off. And if you're on, off in the wet at speed, look what's happening in the Pro Peloton. Extra crashes, extra crashes. So when we can critically think versus follow a social narrative, our life gets better instantly. Life's so short, man. Life is so short. You could be dead today. You could be dead tomorrow. All right. Do things that you really love to do. Yeah, so this Michael says here, the cream on the cake, no pun intended, was the 100 odd grams of sugar you added to the porridge, brown sugar. You know, like you can see how people write stuff. You know, like the brown sugar. You know, I wouldn't want to accuse you of using white sugar. Like, I mean, you know, like I don't want to offend you. Like it was brown sugar. What then? Like, it's okay. If you put white sugar on food, people lose their chops. Remember that video I did in 2014 where I'm putting white sugar on my Kellogg's Sustained cereal, super low fat cereal here in Australia, GMO free, and man, people lost their chops. I think I lost like 1,000 subscribers, boom, instantly that night. And that was good because I don't want to be an eating disorder enabler for people, which I know I am for a lot of people. But that's why I push that sugar message, man, because I really want to help people, not hear about the money and the fame. That comes anyway, but I'd rather have $2 in the bank and be able to sleep at night than, you know, $2 million in the bank and know that I'm not helping people. I'm just enabling bad behavior. So that's where I'm coming from. But yeah, it's amazing when you talk about sugar, how people get all real. And I don't know Jesse for a fact, without even talking to him, he would be going, man, people are freaking out about the sugar. Like, well, damn, like, you know what I mean? Adding sugar to your food, this is probably, if I could make an assumption, the most negativity or disapproval Jesse's probably ever got in his life on a public level from adding sugar to his food. You know what I mean? Like, sugar's the most important nutrient out there. Sucrose, which is 50% glucose and fructose. Glucose fueling every cell, fructose fueling most cells, fructose fueling only sperm cells. Sperm cells only being fueled by fructose. It's so important. When you bring it up, I bring it up every day in conversations with sucrose. People are like, but sugar, like what? Sugar? They do the old parrot. But sugar, oh, you must burn it off. Sugar, that's bad. And it's just like, so I'm talking little parrots everywhere I go. And I get it. You know, I don't get offended or freak out. I understand. I know straight away what someone's going to say. The objection. Objection. This was a great one here. This is the real question here that really got me inspired. This is from Joel. Joel wrote, cracking vid, love smothering oats with brown sugar. Making a point to say brown sugar. I don't use white sugar, I use brown sugar, which is the same freaking thing pretty much. You know, just got a little bit more molasses in there. It's like, yeah. But people can't have, no, why? White sugar, man. It's like, the phobia is real. It's like a rat on the floor, or a spider on the wall, or a mouse in the house. Man, you put sugar, it just gets people triggered, man. Triggered. Alright. That is like the trigger. Nothing triggers people more than sugar in the West. In Thailand, they have a big bowl of white sugar on the table. You know? I had a Thai girlfriend one time, super slim, and then go out to a family's place, massive bowl, and the sugar, everyone in the family's slim, you know, and that they used very, very sparingly oil. Mostly vegetarian because they were Buddhist. So Joel was saying, I live in Adelaide, awesome. Adelaide's a great place to ride. I told Harley that I have a very physical job, incorporating riding and family into that. I come home from work absolutely wasted. So Joel's, he's being that provider. He's going to work, he's getting it done, he's staying in shape, he's not becoming like a fat slob, you know, who's just worthless to his family. He's getting it done, he's waking up early, he's getting some training, and he's going to work, and he's just charging it down, getting it done, paying the bills, making ends meet. Comes home from work absolutely wasted. And I said to smash in the sugar water, 200 to 300 grams a day. I mean, probably, knowing what I know now, I'd say Joel, who I don't know personally, would need a lot more than that. Because, you know, and Joel said I was kind of skeptic, but I think I may have to take this up. I must be undercarbed. Definitely, Joel. You are definitely undercarbed, and I say that in a nice way, in a loving way. You know what I mean? Like, I can't. You'd need up to 1,000 grams a day of sugar, and if you needed more than that, then you needed more than that. Your body will tell you. But what happens is we have this like phobia, we have this fear, this orthorexic disordered eating or eating disorder mindset. We're like, oh, sugar's bad, but we don't even try it. We're so scared of the weight gain, the fat gain. We're unwilling to just put in 200 or 300 or 100 grams, even a tablespoon of sugar into our food, because we think, well, it just turns to fat. I'm going to get fat overnight. Sugar doesn't turn to fat. Sugar turns to muscle glycogen. Sugar gets dissipated so quickly by all the cells. It's like money, man. It's like imagine if you're like running a business or you get a family and you're just on ends meet every day. It's just like, man, if we just had a bit more money, we could do this and fix that. Bill Gates comes along and says, hey, boom, briefcase full of cash, take as much as you want. As much as you need. And you go, wow, man, my life quality's just gone up because now I'm not, stressing about money. Same with sugar. When you give the body as much as it needs, which is going to be the same as much as it wants, because sugar has a limit on it. Sugar's got a limit on it. You're just like gagging out. You're like, it's too sweet now. And when it's not sweet enough, you like add more on. Sugar is it's just perfect, man. It's like the most intuitive nutrient you can get. Oh, sugar's not a nutrient. Sugar is a nutrient. It's the most important nutrient for humans. No. Try it out, man. Try it out. All I do when I have a Mars bar and a Krispy Kreme donut 6-pack and go to KFC and have like sugar in my Coke, I feel bad. It's like, no. That's not the sugar, dude. That's the KFC bucket you're eating. That's all the grease and fat and trans fats and hydrogenated fats and, rancid seed oils and whey and butter in the Krispy Kreme donut. It's not sugar, man. I'm saying people add a clinical pharmaceutical grade sugar from Coles as pure sugar. You add that to your water. You add that to your cornflakes with water and a little super low fat soy milk. And you tell me, if you don't sleep deeper that night, if you don't sleep deeper during that day when you have a power nap, man, you are out like clout. You are just boom. And you wake up like ready just to tackle the world more than otherwise. More than your hypothetical twin who's following you around that day and eating less sugar because they've got an eating disorder, which it is, man. It is 100% eating disorder. People unsubscribe just saying. 100%. If you won't do the experiment, like, this isn't about ethics. Like, it's not saying like go to a vegan or eat some chicken or whatever. Like, no. That's total different. We're talking sugar, which you eat anyway. All right. You eat sugar in the bananas that has the sugar, the sucrose we're talking here. You have it anyway. You have fruit. You want to have sugar. Add sugar to the fruit. Add sugar to your cereal and do the experiment. If someone doesn't do that, that's instantly red flag eating disorder. All right. And I'm not saying this to be mean or whatever. I'm saying this is. And again, this is not directed to Joel, this is directed to anyone out there. If you won't do the sugar experiment, that's an eating disorder. That's orthorexia, a form of eating disorder. Do the experiment. And see how much better you feel that day, or even that moment, or that next week, etc. But you'll feel better straight away. You'll be like, oh, just sort of chilled out. And, just wow. I remember one time having a lot of stress in my life, acute stress in that moment. I was thinking, man, this is, how am I going to deal with this? How am I going to deal with this? And I went into a shop and bought a glass bottle of cordial, Bickford's cordial, and I sculled the whole thing, just absolutely necked it. And I was just like, within about a minute, every single problem I had went from like a 20 out of 10 to like a 1, 2 out of 10. Well, I could go, man, okay, so how can we like pull this apart, break it down, chunk it down, and deal with it so I win and they win? I couldn't even entertain that possibility like just minutes beforehand. That's the power of sugar. That is absolutely the power of sugar. Every single person I've met in the last 20 odd years who's been admitted to a psych ward, deficient in sugar, 100%. Every single one of them, fearing sugar. And I talked to all my friends as well who work as nurses or doctors for cycling over the years, who work at these Glenside places or the Royal Adelaide Hospital and they work in ER, and they're like, these people that they hardly eat, they hardly slept, and they're just on drugs and they're just burning through all this glycogen. And I said, how much if we ever test them for sugar levels? What happens when we put a drip in them? Oh, we put a drip in them, they come better a bit, yeah. No, why can't that be like a standard form of practice? Like give them 500 grams of sugar IV. Put them in a straight jacket, lock them in the bed, pump them full of 500 grams of sugar over 12 hours or whatever, 10 hours, and see what happens to them. We don't do that though, because there's no money in sugar. Pump them full of lithium and antipsychotic drugs, knock them out, give them side effects. That works. Makes money. So that's the world we're living in. So people have to become critical thinkers. Be skeptic of the social narrative that's not out here to really care about you at all. Be skeptical of what you see on TV. Be skeptical of, some people, what they say to you. Up top, you know what I'm talking about? And I'm not talking about conspiracy theories. I'm talking about just clear, obvious, logical, critical thinking that anyone who's just half a brain can think about. Starts with sugar. Sugar's like the red pill. It's like the Matrix with Neo. It's like, man, once you put that sugar in, you're like, man, damn, I missed out so long. I missed out on so much of my life quality. Joel is also a dad. A lot of people out there are parents. I've just woken up. I've got no stims in my system. My brain is just firing straight away. But Joel is like a parent, like so many people out there, parents. I live next door to someone. I live in a very, very rich, affluent area here in Adelaide, Australia, in the east. Beulah Park is called. Houses $1.5 to $3 million average. And then last night there was a party on, really loud. I didn't care because I hardly ever do it. But I really enjoyed listening to the teenage kids and the drunk parents and the conversations that was going on because it was right next to my bedroom window so I could hear. And then I was just thinking, man, this is so sad. These kids don't have fully carved up parents to give them the guidance. And they're using drugs last night. I can hear what was going on. And and alcohol, which is probably one of the worst drugs out there. And I could just tell these kids were having a really good time on drugs. And they may be probably between 15 to 17. Based on their voices and how I've seen them. And I'm just thinking these kids are going to have this positive, they were feeling really good. You can tell by their voices, they're having the best time ever and they're high on drugs. So they're anchoring their dopamine receptors, drugs equals fun. Their parents, they're all, and someone even said sugar-free at the word of the party, and that's sugar-free. And I was just, and then me and Natasha looked at each other and almost burst out laughing, because they would hurt us if we started laughing. That's how close the fence is. You know what I mean? So every single parent out there, I can't say every single, but probably 90% of these parents out there at the party last night would have been sugar phobics and then smashing the alcohol, because alcohol's okay then, isn't it? Sugar's bad, but alcohol's okay. And then having their alcohol just distant from their kids, the teenage kids, like we feel unloved. And then this fuckboy over here is giving me attention, I'll go with him. And then it's just like nature takes its course. But if you're a parent and you've carved up, when you come home from work, you're not wasted. You can have a meal of carbs, some sugar water or whatever, have a quick power nap, and then boom, you're ready to go with your kids. Versus being half attentive, and being in a mood, and just being like, yeah, cool Johnny, cool Janie, yeah. So many parents, man. I mean, being a parent's so hard. It's the hardest job on the planet. I see what my friends go through. I see it, man. And I've got carved up eyes. When I'm looking at something, my eyes don't miss much at all. They don't miss much at all. I grew up with spiders. I didn't have a PlayStation or a Nintendo. Mum was single mum, low budget. I would go in the backyard and hang out with spiders. I would feed spiders up. I'd hydrate them up. I'd spray water on them. Watch them come out their webs and drinking water. I'd catch a small spider and feed it up to a full-grown, mature spider, feeding it flies and cockroaches and stuff. So I learned in an early age the eye of detail and how important that is. I could spot when a spider was sick. I could spot when a spider wasn't eating food because it was going to shed its skin in a couple of days with the full moon or the heat rise and the summer temps. And so I became very detailed at looking at these things. And I see it with people, man. When I look around, I'm like, man, this person's massive undercarb, big dark circles under the eyes. Not just puffy from waking up early in the morning, but dark circles under the eyes, like they get a black eye. I call it the orthorexia black eye, the sugar black eye, where they're feeling sugar and they're just this stress, man. And that causes those black eyes, man. And you see it more and more. You see it in girls put concealer under there, guys just roll it. It's really, really sad to see. And I know when someone has those eyes, they are dealing with massive, massive stress every single minute of the day. Once the distractions get turned off, that stress comes back and they're dealing with that. So as a parent, we're giving our kids the attention that they're not really deserving, the lack of attention that they don't deserve. When you're carved up, you can give more attention, you can pay more focus, you can pay more attention because you're carved up. You're meeting your body's needs. Just like when you got enough sleep and water. When you got enough water, your temper's cool. When you got enough sleep, your brain's really good. Your memory's sharper. When you got enough carbohydrates, all those things are good. You can sleep deeper. When you don't have enough carbohydrate, you reach to stims. Stims raise cortisol. Cortisol stores fat. Cortisol's more like the up and down with your mood. You're snappy. Like, why am I snappy? I don't want to be snappy. So it's crazy, man. It's absolutely crazy, and I see it all the time. And then we have this generation of kids growing up with parents who are under carbs, and the ramifications of that. And they're jumping on scales at home. They're weighing themselves in front of the kids, and the girl's 8 years of age and go, "What do I weigh, Mum? What do I weigh, Dad?" And then there's kids weighing themselves, and they get on TikTok or Instagram, and they see these girls who are like selling some weight loss tea. Like, what does weight loss mean? And they go into that whole rabbit hole, that deep dive, and then by the age 12, 13, most girls have a form of eating disorder. You know, it's insane. And then that just carries on for life. Then they get on the contraceptive pill at 15, so they never properly have a period, never have a proper ovulation cycle. They don't develop properly in the head because they're on these ovulation blocking drugs. And so you've got this generation, this mass of kids out there, teenagers, etc., with improper hormones, with not enough carbs, and a poor sleep cycle because they're on their phone at midnight and scrolling TikTok, etc., judging themselves, comparing, and feeling inadequate. It's absolute a shit show out there. Shit show. And I don't know anyone out there who knows it better than I do. I grew up with I didn't grow up with social media. I grew up without social media, so I have, and now social media freaking 20 hours a day. So I understand the differences, both sides of the fence, and I see it. I look around, look at my gen, teenagers in the 90s versus teenagers today in 2020s, and it's like, man, it's really sad out there. So if you are a parent, man, you need the sugar to protect your kids, to give your kids the best advantage in life. Kids don't need money. The kids with the most rich parents have the most problems. If you're a doctor, a lawyer, an accountant, a CEO, or some top dog, I guarantee your kids are going to be more imbalanced and more drug addicted than the average kid from a working class family, where the parent has more time to spend with them because the parent's not worrying about all this high pressure shit at work. Simple as that. Like when I would spend time with my dad, he could be fully present, because he was retired, and he lived on welfare. So he was just always present. He wasn't thinking about all the stress at work, and he wasn't undercarbed. He's just have his bread and his sugar. I remember he would make bread, sugar, and milk, and serve it up to me. I'm like, I'm not eating that crap. He's like, "No, it's good. You should try it." I'm like, yeah, it's embarrassingly simple. And I thought, what if my friends saw me eating white bread, sugar, and milk? Looking back, it was switch the milk for soy milk is actually a good carb hit. But that's not my young brain, 14-year-old brain was thinking, because I was just cooked with the social narratives. But that's the deal there. It's so important for kids to have that role model, that carved up role model. So my dad was carved up, even though he had a bit of an eating issue. My mum was sometimes carved up, and so I learned a lot watching my mum's behaviour, And she was a single mum doing her best job to raise 3 rascal boys, And so it was great, and she's trying to be slim and doing it the wrong way, yo-yo dieting, calories in, calories out, and it just destroys people, man, And so I've got to see that firsthand. Had no phone to distract me. I was just watching my mum, watching my mum. Wasn't able to watch TV most of the time, so I'd just be watching my mum, what mum's doing, or reading her diet books. So that was my reality. So which was great looking back. At the time, it bored me heckless. I was like, man, this sucks. Why can't I have a Nintendo? Why can't I be like a normal kid and watch TV whenever I want? And but that was good. It made me who I am today. So that's carbs, man. You got to have the carbs in. Otherwise, your life is just going to absolutely suck, man. And I'm not a gun athlete. I wasn't the gun athlete at school. Guys like Jesse, they're just natural born athletes, man. That was not me at all. Getting into nutrition and recovery made me so weekend warrior. So yeah, my genetics weren't so, some kids just born with a crazy VO2 max. It's just athletic parents, boom, just, they produce this wunderkind, but that definitely wasn't me. So getting into nutrition and stuff like that, health, that's what made me better. There you go. So get the sugars in, man. It's orthorexia. Orthorexia gets you dropped in life. Orthorexia is purity beyond rational logic. Okay, that's the difference right there. Always go with logic. Rational logic. Try things out. Add the sugar to your food. 300 grams a day. Do the experiment. Test right, then decide. Don't add with oil and all this other junk, fats that block insulin receptor site and cause insulin resistance. Go with that.